What's up, RotoBallers? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jorden Hill. Week 6 is upon us, and it's time to set those winning fantasy lineups. We're going to be taking a look at RotoBaller's consensus half PPR rankings for Sunday and Monday's games, and highlighting a few players along the way that could surprise for better or for worse. Kicking things off at the quarterback position, at number 8 we have Joe Burrow. After a really slow start to the season, Burrow finally looked like himself in Week 5, and he threw for 317 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. It seems like Cincinnati could get T. Higgins back for this matchup against the Seattle Seahawks in Week 6. The Seahawks have allowed the 12th most fantasy points per game to quarterbacks so far in 2023. You may have pivoted away from Burrow in recent weeks, but if you have him on your roster, you should feel confident starting him going forward. Up 2 spots at number 6 is Justin Herbert, who is currently the fantasy QB2 on a per-game basis this season. He has a difficult matchup against the Cowboys on Monday night, but Dallas did just surrender a big performance to Brock Purdy last week, and this contest has the highest projected point total of the week, with the over-under sitting at around 50 points, so Herbert remains a must-start option. Coming in at number 4 is Justin Fields, who also had a really disappointing start to the campaign, but he's finished as a top 3 fantasy QB in back-to-back weeks, and he hasn't really hit his stride yet when it comes to rushing production. This week he has an excellent matchup against the Minnesota Vikings, so we think Fields will continue to dominate. Taking a look at our running back rankings, at number 8 we have David Montgomery. Montgomery has been awesome this season. Head coach Dan Campbell labeled him a workhorse running back, and the Lions might be without Jahmyr Gibbs yet again against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs have been stout against fantasy running backs so far this season, as they've yet to allow a rushing touchdown to the position, but with as much work as Montgomery is seeing, we think he has a really good shot to find the end zone on Sunday. Moving up 1 spot, we have Alvin Kamara at number 7. Kamara has finished as a fantasy RB1 in both of his appearances this season, and he gets to face the Houston Texans this week. The Texans have surrendered the 8th most fantasy points per game to opposing running backs, and even if this contest stays competitive, we know Kamara can get it done as a receiver, so he offers a unique combination of a safe floor and a high ceiling in this matchup. And all the way up at number 3, we have Raheem Mostert, who's currently the fantasy RB2 on the season, and should be featured even more over the next 4 weeks, as the Dolphins were forced to place rookie Devon Achane on injured reserve. Miami will face the Carolina Panthers this week. Carolina has been the second best matchup for fantasy running backs, so even if Jeff Wilson returns to action on Sunday, Mostert is set up to have a big showing. At wide receiver, we have DJ Moore coming in at number 11. Moore has been sensational over the past 2 weeks and already has 5 touchdowns on the season. We already discussed this matchup a little bit when talking about Justin Fields, but the Vikings have been destroyed by fantasy wideouts all season, and as Fields' clear number 1 target, Moore might just go off yet again. Moving up 3 spots to number 8, we have CeeDee Lamb, who hasn't been the elite fantasy option that many hoped for, and he had just 4 catches for 49 yards last week. That being said, this could be the week that Lamb returns to form. The Chargers have allowed the most fantasy points per game to wide receivers, and as we mentioned earlier, there should be a healthy amount of points put up on the board in this one. And at number 4, Cooper Kupp made his season debut last week, and he picked up right where he left off, securing 8 of 12 targets for over 100 yards. He has a great matchup against the Arizona Cardinals this week. If you don't remember, the Cardinals just gave up 15 catches and 3 touchdowns to Jamar Chase in Week 5, so both Kupp and rookie teammate Puka Nacua should be able to find success on Sunday. At tight end, I want to highlight Logan Thomas at number 8. Thomas earned 11 targets last week and found the end zone, and this week the Commanders will face the Falcons, who have surrendered the 2nd most fantasy points and 3 touchdowns already to the position this year. If you don't have one of the top guys, Thomas is a really solid play this week. At number 6, we have George Kittle, who hadn't done much heading into Week 5, but all 3 of his receptions went for touchdowns against the Cowboys. He'll have his work cut out for him this week against the Cleveland Browns, but performances like he had a week ago are exactly why you just lock Kittle in your lineup and forget about it. And finally, at number 2, we have TJ Hawkinson. He's been a little bit quiet over the past 2 weeks, but he has a great matchup against the Chicago Bears, and keep in mind that the Vikings just put star wide receiver Justin Jefferson on injured reserve. To recap, we think Joe Burrow can be trusted again, and he should be able to perform well against the Seattle Seahawks, while Justin Herbert should get Austin Eckler back and will look to stay hot in a tough matchup against the Cowboys. Justin Fields has 8 passing touchdowns over the past 2 games, and he should have no problem getting it done through the air and on the ground against the Minnesota Vikings. Despite a difficult matchup, David Montgomery should continue to be great for fantasy purposes, especially if Jahmyr Gibbs misses another contest, and Alvin Kamara is once again primed for success against the Houston Texans defense. Raheem Mostert is one of the best plays of the week as the clear number 1 back in Miami against the struggling Panthers run D. At wide receiver, DJ Moore has been been on fire as of late and should stay productive against the Minnesota Vikings, while CeeDee Lamb will look to bounce back in a great matchup against the LA Chargers. We highlighted Cooper Kupp, but both him and Puka Nacua should be able to capitalize against the Arizona Cardinals secondary. Logan Thomas has a key role in the Commanders' offense, and he has an excellent matchup against the Atlanta Falcons in Week 6. George Kittle doesn't have such a good matchup, but he proved in Week 5 exactly why he's a must-start fantasy asset every week. TJ Hawkinson, with Justin Jefferson injured, should see a ton of volume as one of Kirk Cousins' top weapons against the Chicago Bears. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like on the video and subscribe to RotoBaller for the best fantasy advice that'll help you win big in 2023. Thanks again for tuning in, and best of luck in your Week 6 fantasy matchups.